Yo, Wiz fam, here with another one. I told you we're being non-stop with this, non-stop. Well, we got a new one for y'all. Definitely a new one. By Chris Stuckman. My man got over 2.0, 2.4, 2.4 of them things. Alright, so it's a Signs. This is a movie made by M. Night Shyamalan. And it's one of the fucking craziest, terrifying alien movies I ever saw. None of that xenomorph shit, because that's what people don't get about alien movies. They're broken down like we have the Greys, we have those types, and then we have xenomorphs, and then we have the reptilians, and then we have the body snatchers, and then we have the cephalopods and stuff like that. So cephalopods, bugs, so on and so forth. And so to get a good Greys movie with a good story, none of that found footage shit. I mean, I think found footage is one of the greatest fucking things filmed if done right. But this movie, to have it as a good story, great casting. We have Mel Gibson, Jaquan Phoenix. Um, I really don't know Macaulay Culkin's brother's name, but it's a Culkin brother. And Abigail, you probably would recognize her from Zombieland if y'all watch those movies. But yeah, let's do it. Subscribe, like, comment, say what you gotta say, and let me know if this movie scared you as a kid or like whenever you watched it, because this movie fucked me up.
Signs is a very special film for me. Some viewers may know it's the film that made me who I am today. When it came out in 2002, I was only 14 years old, and I remember my first visit to see it very vividly. It was the first time I really started to think seriously about film. Up until that point, I hadn't really thought about the art of filmmaking. Signs was the film that sparked the desire that led to a purchase of a camera, many short films, and a love of movies that hasn't left me to this day. I firmly believe that if I had hadn't seen Signs on that specific day, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. Strangely,
Well, yeah, I was muted for that whole last time, but like I said, these three made a great fucking cast. Like three, oh my god, four, like a great cast, because it's like I said before, I realized I was muted. As kids, we was when watching this shit. It's like we just want to see what it is. We want to see the creature, the monster. Why is it scary? But like watching as an adult now, bro, it's like this nigga right here putting his like, you get his character background, and then you get the character development between these two, and it's fucking bizarre. But I agree with him. If I didn't watch Signs and actually watch it, I don't think I would be a horror fan movie, because no, I didn't like Freddy Krueger, I didn't like Michael Myers, I didn't like Jason. I didn't like those movies until I got into being scared and scary movies. So I was like, oh, okay, let me watch them. But those are just slashers. That's why I'm glad we have something like this.
the film deals with a very similar message on coincidence and fate. This will be my fifth installment in my series of analyzed movie reviews. In the past, I've covered Prometheus, Drive, A Good Day to Die Hard, and Only God Forgives. Signs is by far my most requested. So sit tight, grab some popcorn, and let's reminisce to a time when the name M. Night Shyamalan made people shiver with excitement. Now, it just makes people shiver. But I still love you, man. Never do that again.
Okay, I do want to point this out here. This will possibly be a long one, but I do want to point this out. The last Airbender, the one that he made, it possibly just had to do with lack of character development plus acting skill. I believe the CGI was there. I believe the effects, the editing, I believe all of that was there. But you gotta, if you're gonna make a spin-off something of something like Avatar on Nickelodeon, you gotta have your own type of a spin to it. That's why it's called a spin-off, not a redo. But M Night Shyamalan, we still love you. I still emailed you on Twitter about my script for Signs 2. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
No.
It's time to upgrade your tire inflator.
Upgrade your mother's tire inflator, ya whore. No.
Signs is a very special film for me. Shiver with excitement. Now, it just makes people shiver.
Like I said, when I
But I
fuck
still
up
love
like
you, man.
that, I will not
Never
be
do that
editing
again,
it out,
though.
so you can
One of
see
my
when
goals
you're
with this
just
video
now.
is to debunk many
Like I said, I will not be editing this out because so you can see, like, starting this off, you can fuck up, you will fuck up, there's nothing wrong with it.
of the popular complaints that I constantly hear about the film's finale. I will get into that later. But just as a warning, spoilers everywhere for Signs. So if you haven't seen the
Spoilers on
film,
your mother.
check it out and then watch my review. Signs opens with a main title sequence that brings back memories of watching Psycho for the first time. The loud score by James Newton Howard was utilized in the opening credits to hint at the intensity that was to come in the film. It was sort of like a warning, a promise that things would get pretty freaky. And the full arc of the music isn't felt until the finale of the film, where that promise is kept. When the credits end, our first shot booms onto screen without much weight, and we see a pristine backyard, one that should emote feelings of comfort and warmth. But instantly, we sense something isn't right. This is confirmed when Graham Hess, played excellently by Mel Gibson, in my favorite performance of his, wakes up and immediately feels off. From this shot until the final moments in the film, an unwavering sense of dread permeates this movie. The thing about this opening, which Knight himself refers to as his James
What, I don't care, like I said, this might be a long one. One thing I have to say about this scene in particular is, you know how most movies, when they start off, it's music, you hear some sort of an instrument going off, you hear some type of a chime, some type of you hear some type of a sound. In this right here alone, you hear nothing but him breathing, the floorboards of him walking, the faint sound of outside. And I think that's where M. Night Shyamalan shines the most, when he captured the audio like that. Because, like he said, you do get this sense of dread in this. You get the sense of there's no cheerfulness, like there's no none of that. It's what you're hearing in the background is Dobby putting that Rasengan on that man Lucius on the Chamber of Secrets. But yeah, check out the Harry Potter video we just dropped down below. Click up there to click on it.
James Bond opening action scene that impresses me so much is how much you learn about Graham in just a few shots. You really get all the essentials within a minute. It's really remarkable. The photo on his end table shows his wife and children, as well as himself in his priest uniform. A faded stain where a cross was once hung is clearly seen on the wall as well. Within a few shots, a sharp eye can tell that he...
And it's like I never saw that. That's the thing, like that cross right there on the wall. That cross right here, I never saw that.
Faith and lost it. When screams from his crops send him and his brother Merrill, Joaquin Phoenix, running into the corn, we meet Graham's children. Bo, played by Abigail Breslin in her first role.
I'm cold. I knew her. I didn't know her last name, but I knew it was Abigail something. But yeah, that's who that is. Y'all might recognize her from Zombieland.
And Morgan.
And if you ask me, she plays a huge role in this movie. She plays a huge role. But that would be on a later video of me breaking that down.
And played by Rory Culkin. Our first lines from both of the children are very important. Bo seems to think she's still in a dream. The fact that she has odd, possibly prophetic dreams is constantly brought up in the film. Morgan thinks God made what lies ahead of him. It's clear now that Morgan hasn't lost his faith. This will bring up a consistent struggle between himself and his father throughout the film. After the Hess family discovers the giant crop circle in the field, we now have our movie. Can I just add that this is real? This isn't CGI.
Like facts. Anybody who has the DVD, or if you want to just go on YouTube and look up behind the scene. No, look up behind the scenes, and then look up making of Signs, and you'll see how they drew the alien out, how they was gonna do that and all that. But how they made this crop circle was, it was dope as fuck. It took them well into the morning. But it was dope as fuck.
I really, really respect that. In the next scene, we see that their German shepherd, Houdini, peed on the floor. The kids think he's sick, and this little exchange happens.
Houdini peed. I think he's sick.
Why don't you take him outside? I'll call Dr. Crawford.
He doesn't treat animals.
And he'll know what to do.
This is actually a really cool little tidbit that I'll explain later. It's something I didn't notice about the film for a long time. Soon we meet Caroline, a local police officer who's arrived to hopefully give some answers. We soon learn that many animals around the county have been acting odd. The look on Gibson's face always sends shivers down my spine when she says other dogs have been peeing on themselves, like when they smell a predator around. It's also during this scene that Graham asks Caroline to please stop referring to him as father. We also get our first hint that Bo has a thing about her drinking water, and a pretty suspenseful scene involving the family dog. This scene also includes some pretty good humor, something I think Knight really nailed in this movie. After a few moments of silence, Graham becomes unnerved by the fact that he can't hear his children anymore, which leads to a scene my sister couldn't even watch. The doggy dies. Knight broke a rule of screenwriting here. Never kill the dog. Kill as many people as you want, just never kill the dog. He breaks that rule twice in this movie. We learn of Morgan's asthma here and discover that the relationship between Graham and his brother Merrill is a bit strained. Soon we cut to nighttime.
And like, I have a theory based on that. Because it's like, when Graham's wife died, it seemed like, yeah, it took a toll on the family, but it also seemed like it took a toll on Merrill. Like, sort of, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Maybe, this was supposed to be in Pennsylvania or something like that. So I guess, they're like a close family and stuff like that.
Farm is quiet. Nothing is moving. All we hear is crickets. But suddenly, they stop chirping. I didn't even notice this the first time I saw it, but that subtle sound effects work terrifies me. It's like, holy crap, the freaking alien just walked on the scene, and the crickets were like, hell no. Bo wakes up Graham saying there's a monster outside her room. Graham kindly tries to put his daughter back to bed, and we get a really great scene where Bo asks Graham why he talks to Mom when he's by himself. We sense that she's since passed away. This nice moment quickly ends when Graham spots an alien on the frickin' roof.
And let me just tell you something right here. This scene has stayed with me for 20 years. I'm 27. I let it go. But for 20 years, until I hit 20 something, this scene has stayed with me. I have done every analyzation that I can do possible. I have zoomed up on this alien. I have broken the contrast down, lowering the sharpening, lowering the darkness, turned up the brightness, turned the color down, just to see if I can see a facial feature. I have done it all with this particular scene, and it has fucked me up for many years.
Oof. Shyamalan was clever in the ways he chose to reveal the creature. He doesn't just show you it, you get a little glimpse, which keeps you curious. On the DVD, Knight said that the killer coming at you with a bloody knife isn't necessarily scary, but having the knowledge that a killer is in your house, just not being able to see him, that's terrifying. Hitchcock said something similar, and I'm paraphrasing here. A bomb going off is not suspenseful. That's the release. A bomb underneath the table and you don't know when it's going to go off, now that's suspense. So anyway, Graham wakes Merrill and they try to chase this thing down outside, still assuming it's just some neighboring kids. This scene is pretty hilarious, especially the dialogue involving the fact that Graham doesn't feel comfortable cursing. Soon enough, the brothers start to sense that this may not be pesky kids. The next day, Caroline has returned. Through conversation with
Like I'm
Merrill,
saying,
we get
man,
more hints
check
of what
the
happened
movie
in
out.
Merrill's
Check it out.
And through a conversation with Bo, we learn that she's really got a problem with water. She even leaves tons of glasses all around the house half full. And yes, I think glasses are half full.
I feel like that is some best and good foreshadowing right there. I really do feel like it, because to the normal eye, it looks like, wow, she's just leaving cups all around for some shit, but it's great foreshadowing.
I'm an optimist. Caroline interviews Graham and Meryl about their experience the previous night, in another scene that keeps the audience chuckling, but the subtle humor is always quickly replaced with an air of dread or worry, as Caroline brings up the fact that Graham left the church, and someone might possibly have a grudge against them. Soon, Bo says that every station is playing the same show, and we see news reports from all around the world indicating that the crop circles are happening everywhere. One of the things I love about this movie is that it truly captures what it might feel like if a group of hostile aliens attempted to take over the planet.
And I said that same thing rewatching this as a teenager. I was like, to have this on like a breaking news on this type of old TV on a farmhouse, like a place like this, it's good fucking writing. He did his shit with this movie.
Some alien invasion movies show worldwide destruction and people from other lands running and fleeing from big CGI ships. To me, despite the fact that these movies actually show worldwide invasion and devastation, it wasn't until Signs that I legitimately understood what it might feel like, because it's told from the perspective of just this one family, so it's vastly easier to relate to as a viewer. Graham decides to take his family into town to help get their minds off things, and through some comical scenes we learn extremely important details about each character. Morgan is extremely interested in this whole UFO thing and gets a book about it. Bo's had a thing about her drinking water her whole life. People still really feel the need to confess their sins to Graham, and in what is perhaps the most important character info scene, we learn that Meryl almost went pro as a baseball player, but wasn't able to make it because it felt wrong not to swing. When they all meet up for pizza, we get another very important scene. They spot the director, Shyamalan himself, accidentally walking into the frame. Oh, wait, he's in the movie? Dang, he gave himself a big role. He's the guy who killed Graham's wife and started all the characters on their fateful...
But I mean, let's be honest, who the fuck else could have played that role? I couldn't see nobody else playing that role. I mean, he got Joaquin Phoenix, and Mel fucking Gibson, the Patriot. Like, he could have got another actor if he wanted to, but who could have played that role? Who could have played this role suspenseful and like have this type of, give off that type of vibe?
Journey towards redemption? Yup, the director. The guy who created these characters is also the character in the movie who made the first step that leads them all to the finale. Interesting. Here's why it doesn't bother me. I saw this movie in theaters in 2002, before I knew who Shyamalan was, because as I said, this was the movie that really made me want to analyze film and learn more about them. So I watched his performance as if it was just another actor, and it didn't bother me. In fact, I remember thinking, this supporting guy is pretty good. So there are two cool things I take away from this scene. For one, everyone recognizes him except Bo, who says, "Who is he?" This is probably due to how young she is. She probably wouldn't recognize him. And when Shyamalan drives off, Graham is the only one who starts eating, taking a huge bite, trying to forget and move on. This shows just how tortured he is. In the next scene, Bo's old baby monitor starts to pick up signals.
And I'm sorry for keep pausing it, but I love this movie, but it's like, I never noticed that too. When he bit that pizza, and I always made fun, like, damn, that was a big ass bite, but no. You just seen your wife's killer. He didn't get no jail time because it'll get to that later. Not gonna spoil it for you, but you see your wife's killer. He's just looking at you. The first time you decide to take your family out on a outing, take them to the town, and you see your wife's killer with the family at that. So it's like when he took a bite of that pizza, and like he said, yeah, that aggression, like to be like, yeah, it showed how like, yeah, man.
From something. But what I always took away from this scene was that the signal doesn't become clear until the entire family is connected. To me, this was a hint that the only way they're all going to get out of this is by working together, that each member of the family has something special. Also, we get the first hint of Meryl's future obsession with the whole event. The next scene is honestly one of the most suspenseful scenes I've ever seen in my life. Graham decides to investigate his crops at night. The sound design for this scene is perfect.
Again, like I said, M. Night Shyamalan only used about two sounds. Yeah, I'm going to say about two sounds And then he has another one. And it's like it's that same song. It's that same song, but the tempo is just lowered.
The dog barking in the background, the crickets, and the sounds coming from the alien all lend to that warm feeling of suspense I get from a well-directed film. My favorite shot in this scene is the angle below Gibson before he kneels down. The shot and Gibson's performance really sell his desperation in that moment. They finally decide to turn on the TV after Gibson spots a frickin'
They didn't show it, but let's just say when he picked that flashlight up and looked up, that's not some shit you want to see in a cornfield yet.
alien leg in his crops and decides, you know what? There may be something to this. When they watch the news, they learn that ships have been spotted around the entire Earth. I love that they're just these little tiny dots on the screen and not some overblown CGI creation. It's so much more realistic that way. Eventually, the kids fall asleep, and we get what is possibly the most important scene in the entire...
And when he says that, he's not bullshitting. This is one of the most important, but to me, one of the best scenes in cinematic history. I'm going to give it that because you get that conversation. Do people just get luck? Do people get lucky? Or is there really a bit wow, fuck. I know how it goes. I'm just trying to say it professionally, but I'm going to just say it in the street way. It's just like bro said, do you believe people get lucky, or do you believe that there's someone out there watching over you type shit and you're always going to be good? So like, are you the type that believes in miracles, to believe in signs? Like, you see a sign, something's gonna happen, and you stop and you be like, okay, no, wait, I'm not gonna go. And then later on you find out all this happened and such, and be like, see, I had a sign not to go. Like, oh no, watch the movie, it explains better.
Our movie. Meryl is feeling very worried and quietly begs Graham to be like he used to be just for a little bit. Graham reluctantly tells him a story about consequence, coincidence, and fate, breaking your average person down into two groups, those who believe things happen for a reason and those who believe in random chance. The conversation turns from light-hearted to dark when Graham mentions the last words his wife said before she died. He says she said, "See, then swing away." Graham believes her brain was failing her as she died, letting random thoughts escape her mouth without meaning. He admits he no longer believes in God. This is when we get our first dream. Graham is dreaming about the night his wife died. When he wakes, he finds Meryl has taken the TV into the closet, saying the kids were getting too obsessed. He thinks the aliens are using the crop circles as a mapping system, and talks about how their ships might be cloaked during the daytime, due to a bird flying into what appeared to be a wall in the sky. Interestingly, there was a deleted scene in the film where the family drove by a dead bird, which would have linked up in our minds when Meryl said this. Next, Graham observes his family falling more and more into obsession and worry. Knight wisely plays a lot of this for comedy, rather than make it all too serious. When he gets a phone call from who we eventually learn is Ray Reddy, Shyamalan's character, we hear him say, "Father?" Then what sounds like claws scampering on wood in the background. The phone goes dead and Graham looks into a room revealing an incomplete dress, still hanging up. The box in the corner has his wife's name, Colleen, written on it. It's clear he knows he has just spoken to his wife's accidental killer. Graham decides to go to Ray's house to check on him, but before this scene starts, Bo tells Morgan she doesn't want him to die. "Who said I was gonna die?" he continues to repeat. Now earlier I talked about the exchange Graham had with his children. The conversation about taking Houdini to see Dr. Crawford. The kid said he doesn't treat animals. It actually took me a few viewings to realize something kinda cool Knight put in the script that was very subtle. We get one wide shot of Ray's house, seeing that he is a veterinarian. Now that earlier scene makes sense. Graham didn't want to take their dog to see the actual vet, since that's the guy responsible for his wife's death. I think this is fantastic writing.
You can't tell me that's not good fucking writing right there. You cannot tell me M. Night Shyamalan sat down one night and was just like, I'm gonna make an alien movie. And that nigga mind just took off. Like it just went, and he just didn't second thinking. This is something where you didn't second guess any of your work. Like you went with it and you were just like, this is my rough draft. Boom. Cause you can tell this is no rewrite, this is no rescript. Like this is like, and I never noticed that too. But like, those some nice ass houses.
I love when a director slash writer respects the audience and doesn't spoon feed them all the little details like this. Next, we get a very emotional scene that is played with remarkable subtlety on the part of Gibson, and Knight honestly isn't too bad here. As I said earlier, I didn't know he was the director the first time I saw this movie, and the scene worked for me. The two men have a bit of a recompense when Ray acknowledges that he's caused Graham to question his faith. He also mentions that he's heading for the lake because some have theorized that the aliens have been avoiding water. Before driving off, he tells Graham he locked one of them in his pantry. Next, we get what for some, myself...
I'm warning you right now. I don't know if he's going to play the clip, but I will try to find the clip if he doesn't. But has to be one of the scariest. He's probably going to play the picture, but I'm going to try to go find the clip and put it in the video. But this has to be one of the scariest fucking scenes, because not only do we get the big reveal, how it's revealed is by one of the most iconic ways that you can ever reveal something. Just watch.
Included, was the scariest scene in the film. Most just refer to it as the disturbing footage scene. This scene was actually listed number 77 in
I gotta
Bravo's
work myself
100
up, y'all.
Scariest Movie Moments. It's the first time we get a good look at the creatures, but at the same time, it isn't. The first time we see the aliens is not in some beautiful wide shot with sparks flying everywhere and big CGI creations. It's on a handheld cam from a foreign country. This is one of the best ideas Knight has ever had.
Oh my god. Shit. See, like, this shit right here is nightmare fucking fuel. And like he said, when we got the reveal of the alien, it wasn't in some glorified way. Yet there was music playing, but it's music that you hear in like a sad mafia movie, and not no like many instruments. Let's cut out all the other instruments and let's just add like a strong violin with a little hint of a piano sound or some shit like that. But like the way that it is, and I'm just gonna put it out there, they camouflage. These are the grays, and they camouflage. And he was camouflaged right here. And the only thing you can see right here was his head, but you saw like his arms and shit and his eyes poking out. But when he came from around that fucking corner, my nigga, I'm sorry. But yeah, I shit several souls out. And I don't even think that's possible. And the fact that my parents, my mother, my grandmother, my auntie Kim, God rest her soul, wanted me to jump inside of our window because they locked the keys out. Hell no. But this right here was one of the best reveals because, like he said, you didn't get it in some fantastic way. We got it on a small TV in the closet, grainy, old school classic, playing the Nintendo PlayStation 1 on this bitch type TV. And you got it in a foreign country at a kid's birthday party.
Country. This is one of the best ideas Knight has ever had, because it perfectly captured the terror of what this situation would be like.
Because like he just finna say there, if you're sitting home and you have this phenomenon going on in your city, in your neighborhood, or whatever, and y'all don't know what's going on, but then somebody captures something on video of the shit that's been going on around, and you see it's a fucking alien like that, this nigga's reaction right here, I feel like it's a theatrical cut and then there's a director's cut, because in the director's cut he doesn't do this, and I think that's where they reshot it, because in the hard cop, however you want to call it, he didn't do this gesture. He grabbed this coat and this coat and he made like a and then his eyes were like petrified, but he didn't do this. He kept the same one, and he backed into the same side of the closet, as you can see, and he was supposed to have grabbed this coat and this coat, but either way it's still good.
For your average family. Want to know my favorite thing about this scene? After rewatching it many times, I noticed this. You can actually see the camouflaged creature.
See? Yep, you see what I mean? Let's go back. Sorry if I'm terrifying anybody out there.
Many times, I noticed this.
Alright, see? Now one, you see the leg. See the leg right here? Trying to camouflage, but it can't like that because it, and then it's trying, like, here's another thing. I never peeped this until now. It's like this part of his leg is poking out, and it's trying to camouflage off of the bottom and then off of this right here. So of course that looks out of place, and then like right here is completely now.
You can actually
another one, and then you see the arm right there. And I'm like, imagine, bro. Like, see me, I would have been that type that have been like, yo, I'm finna go like smoke real quick, and I would either been like right here, right there, or like somewhere in between here. Then I've been like, yo, what the fuck is that standing right there?
See the camouflage
And then like, oh fuck me.
Creature.
There we go. You see that face? Oh my god. Jesus.
Crouching in the brush, looking to see if it's safe.
Yeah, see? Because he poked his head out twice. Because one part of the movie that he didn't show is when, like right here, let me see. Right, yeah, like right here. Like when they went here and when, like this part right here. When he went here and he talked to the military dude told him about a procedure that they do in the military called probing. And this is a recon one. So he's only out here to see if it's clear if there's any danger. But position was compromised and stuff like that. That's why he didn't attack. Because a lot of people are like, why didn't the alien just run in there and attack? Because this isn't an attack one. He is here to scan and scope out.
Safe to come out.
And one thing I never noticed.
Clearly, it's distraught.
One thing I never noticed, like he was curious, but one thing I noticed was the color duration. And he tries to quickly camouflage again here.
It's hiding.
As you see.
Why is that? This is very important and helps debunk many complaints.
Now see, you see the face right here. And that's one thing I never got. I might be fucked up for a while. But like that's one thing that I never did see. Like the face was so camouflaged in until he uncamouflaged himself and shown himself. But one thing
about the film's finale, which I will discuss soon.
That color is like they're different colors. Now the one you're gonna see at the end, it's a different color, it's a different shade, and you'll see.
In the next scene, Graham still doesn't want to accept the reality of the situation and tries to talk to whatever is in the pantry. In a brilliant use of tension, he uses the reflection of a large knife to try and see underneath the door. The scare that happens in this scene is seriously utter perfection. There is no loud boom or buildup of music to warn us.
See, and I keep saying that. He did not use music. He never used music to build up the scariness.
That something is coming. The hand just rushes out from under the door, its claws clicking against the kitchen.
So like, see? Now see this? That's not the color of the actual hand. Anything that it touches, sees, or reflects off of it, it reflects off its body. So like him touching the ground right here is the hand. So like he didn't show the full clip. I'll try to include this one in too. But when he first leaned down, because like something led up to this, because he didn't just lean down when he first got there and this happened. It built up to this. But when he leaned down for that third time, when he came back and he put his head down, he didn't see it at first until he reached out and scratched. Now one thing I keep trying to see is the angle. I don't know if the angle, like, was he on his knees? Did he lay flat on his stomach? Or how was it? But
floor. I'll never forget showing this scene to a friend back in 2003 after the DVD had already come out. He was sitting far forward in his seat. Then he literally fell backwards and hit the back of the couch. It was amazing. After finally acknowledging that some serious crap is going on, Graham tries to convince his family to head for water, since it's a theory he finds some merit in. His family disagrees, however, on the basis that they want to stay where their mother raised them. He reluctantly agrees on the promise that they board up every window and
not so much reluctantly agrees, not on a whole count of him trying to cheat, and then his son is like, that's bullshit, you're cheating. Legit, that's what he says, and it's funny. I'll try to get that clip too.
Door in the house. I've also heard many complaints about how the aliens are so dumb that they can't get out of pantries and through wood beams. I'll get to talking about those at the end of this video. When the family is crowded in the closet watching the news, they learn that the crop circles are indeed being used as a mapping system. Graham hears of people flocking to churches around the world and leaves the room. Morgan tells Uncle Merrill that he wishes he was his dad, not Graham. After the house is nearly finished being boarded up, the family agrees to have what Graham is thinking might be their last dinner. They each pick whatever they want, but when it comes time to eat...
And I'm not a biblical person or anything like that, or like the religious type, but when he did this scene, him being a pastor or the father of the church, this was what he called his Last Supper. And I feel like M. Night Shyamalan putting that on the scene title, The Last Supper, I feel like that was such a good touch. Like, cause man, this movie is brilliant.
Morgan wants his dad to say a prayer. This is a reminder that Morgan hasn't lost his faith, something we learned in the opening scene when he said he thought God made the crop circles. When Graham refuses, he breaks down crying, and the entire family comes together for one last emotional scene. Just like during the earlier car scene, the signal from the baby monitor becomes clear when the entire family is grouped together. They rush to finish boarding up the house. When Graham looks out the window, the crickets stop chirping yet again, another warning that the creatures are coming. In the script, Knight had originally planned to show us lines being formed in the crops as the creatures advance towards the house. He wisely omitted that visual. I find it much more terrifying without actually seeing.
But plot twist right here, he actually did keep it in. He just kept it from us to see. So the scene of the two, the creatures, the aliens running toward the house is kept in there. When you hear the cricket stop, when you see, his eyes flare up, because he sees them, and his eyes flare up and his mouth sort of gasp open, and then he backs away slowly.
Seeing that. Thinking that this might be one of the last times he has to really talk with his children, he decides to tell each of them how they were born. Interestingly, the births described are actually the stories of how Knight's actual children were born. All the while, you can hear the creatures crashing through the house. All tension throughout this scene is caused with fantastic use of silence combined with sound design. They head for the basement. At this point, the creatures have gotten inside the house, and while trying to wedge the door shut, they knock out the lights, forcing them to use flashlights. They notice that the aliens are just making noises, trying to distract them from the real threat. They begin searching for the coal chute, remembering that it used to be poured into the basement. Upon finding it, an alien grabs Morgan, and Knight does something really great here.
Before he does that, and I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the best shots, and I do hope that I could use this in my remake someday, because I do want to take this shot that he did, because you would want, like, some people would want to see what's going on, but what he did by just knocking the flashlight down and keeping that shot on the flashlight the whole time, that was such a beautiful fucking move, because it kept you guessing, but it didn't piss you off, because you knew what was going on. You knew that one of them just grabbed him and that they're trying to get him loose and then cover it up. But like with this down here, it keeps you guessing, like, but what if? Like, what, like, I'm telling you, and it was so good.
Focuses on the fallen flashlight.
And then he's not going to show the clip. I know he's not. But like, their feet keep panning by, like running over, and they keep like kicking the flashlight back to an angle, but he never breaks the one shot. The one shot stays still, but the flashlight is being kicked over here, then over here. And it's like, it's so good.
Only letting us hear Graham and Meryl screaming to help Morgan. It gives me goosebumps every time. Morgan begins...
I get those goosebumps every time.
having an asthma attack, causing Graham to realize they forgot to take his medicine. Bo says she dreamed this, continuing to add weight to her almost angelic, prophetic.
Because remember to what she said back into the room. I don't want you to die. But now, remember the conversation that they had on the couch. Now,
dreams. As he's trying to help his son breathe, he begins talking to someone else who we quickly realize is God. It's clear now that Graham really does still believe in God. He acknowledges his existence, but hates him nonetheless. Eventually, the asthma attack subsides. When the family is finally able to sleep, we get a little bit more of Graham's dream, learning that Colleen died in an accidental car accident. He wakes up before the dream finishes. When he wakes, we hear a voice on the radio, a man who's theorizing about why the aliens came to Earth. He says,
"People think they came here to take over the planet. That's bull. I don't think that. My friend and I saw them.
Found a pack of light bulbs.
They poisoned his family. They dragged them away. Nobody believes me, but they didn't come here for our planet. This is a raid. They came here for us, to harvest us.
They left real fast this morning, like something scared them off. They left some of their wounded behind."
This little bit of dialogue
I'm not gonna hold you. Him playing that clip, I thought I was watching the motherfucking movie. My nigga, I done kicked back, nigga. I done started smoke, nigga.
is very important. As I keep saying, I'll get to that in a bit. So after a bit of reluctance, the family decides to go back upstairs in an attempt to find Morgan's medicine. When Graham wheels the TV into the living room, we get a scare that made a woman in the audience scream as if she'd literally seen a ghost. I'll never forget that. An alien is holding Morgan and it's missing 2 fingers. It's the one from the pantry. Clearly this is one of the wounded that was left behind. The family freezes as they watch the alien threaten to poison Morgan. Then Graham has an epiphany, and we finally see the rest of Graham's flashback. This is when Graham begins to connect the dots, and where some audience members were let down. He remembers that Colleen's last words were, "Tell Graham to see," and tell Meryl to swing away. He remembers his conversation with Meryl about fate and coincidence, and has a revelation. He's haunted by his question, is it possible there are no coincidences? He tells Meryl, almost pro-baseball player, to swing away, who begins to attack the alien, but not before it poisons Morgan.
You see what the fuck I mean? Hold on, where's my cigarette? I was saving it for this part because I knew the money maker of this movie is this part of the alien's face a fucking alone, because that tattoo, this right here on its forehead, the face, the eyes, the piercing fucking eyes, and then like the teeth, like oh my god, no, she's going to sleep, I'm not going to show her, but and then like this right, oh my fucking god, I love this movie but I hate it. I love this movie but I hate it, but man, like, oh my god, it's this gave me nightmares, anxiety, panic attacks for years. But this is why I say the one from the birthday party was different. The one from the birthday party, his face was surprised and shocked and curious. This right here screams pissed.
We get the next big reveal, and more audience members got turned off. The water. The water is harmful to their skin. This was Bo's addition to the situation. Graham gets Morgan outside and gives him his injection as Bo watches Meryl trash the alien.
Well, I mean, I guess you can't say that, because what if on their planet they don't have water? Hence why they're so dry looking or whatever. And they're able to change color and stuff like that. Like, their camouflage probably works in a different sort of a way. So from where they are, they probably don't have water. They skinny as fuck, so nutrients, is like food, is probably not even on their fucking radar. Like he said, oh my god, like he said, they have no use for food, nutrients, or anything like that. They have no use for it because they have developed, I forgot what he said they developed, but that will make more sense, and I feel like a lot of people have missed that. So the water being a weakness, not I'm not gonna say is not even gonna say a weakness, but the water being like sort of a thing that could be, because if you throw water on somebody who's never been around water, well, obviously nothing's gonna happen. But if you're talking fictional wise, yeah, that you can do something like that. Yeah, you could do something like that. They're not used to water, like how in World of the Worlds or whatever, germs or whatever was, I don't know.
and exploding all the glasses of water she left around the house. Before too long, the creature breathes its last breath. In the next scene, a very emotional Graham says that's why he had asthma. He keeps telling himself that Morgan's lungs were too closed for the poison to get in, as his family waits to see if.
And no bullshit, ever since this day, I think like that. Like, I think like there was a reason why this happened. There was a reason. There was, like, I'm telling you.
Morgan will wake up.
Someone save me?
That beat that you hear, please don't let me get copyrighted for that. But that what you hear, those sounds in that those are the only two song sounds that you hear throughout the whole movie, and I think like it's good.
I think someone did.
In this moment, Graham regains his faith. We pan back through the window that was in the opening shot, and while that opening shot was cold and filled with dread, this one is beautiful, sunny, and vibrant, even though the glass is smashed in. A time lapse occurs to the.
Because I feel like with the broken window and with the family right there, I feel like it's a broken family repaired. I feel like that's what that last shot was to see. A broken family not repaired type shit. I'm cold.
Following winter, and Graham walks out of the restroom all decked out in his priestly garb, and the film fades out. Now, I have promised throughout this review that I discuss the film's ending and give my thoughts on why a lot of the complaints I hear are completely unwarranted. Complaint number 1, the pantry. I'm constantly surprised by how many posts I've seen complaining that the aliens can't get out of a pantry or that boarded up doors don't.
Because if you lived galaxies and galaxies and billions and light years away and you had the craziest technology, do you think you would be used to opening pantry doors? That's like if you go take one of the poorest people, like one of the poorest if you go take one of the most poorest person, if you take one, I'm sorry, I fucked up. If you go take a person who is severely fucking poor, and then you try to have them go into a Tesla, open a door, you'll be like, what the fuck? How do you open this? Because that was me. When I tried to open my Tesla, he was like, you gotta do this, bro. And I was like, oh, this fancy ass shit. Okay. And he was like, you never rode in a Tesla? I'm like, nah, bro. But so I feel like that's another one debunked right there, because they live in a different society. So pantry doors and stuff like that with knobs is something they're probably not used to dealing with.
Stop them, and how idiotic that is. This I've never been able to understand. There's the alien from the damn pantry. He obviously got out. How do you think the aliens got in?
Because he busted his way the fuck out. That nigga said fuck the bullshit. He was only locked in. Like, he wasn't bolted locked in. He was just like, he had a table pushed right there. This is a fucking alien. If he knows his people about to leave, this, like, you know your motherfucking ride is about to go home and you live 3 hours away. Not saying the alien lived 3 hours away, but like, you live 3 hours away and your ride's about to leave. Are you telling me that you finna stay locked in a room that you're in? Fuck no. You finna do whatever the fuck you can to get out that room. That nigga busted that fucking room down. He busted that fucking room down. Like, nah, hell nah, fuck this. I gotta go.
Into the house when the family was in the basement. They busted in. There is literally no reason to be surprised by a living creature taking some time to bust through something with 2 tables stacked.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Like you said, he busted out. What do you mean? This is a wooden fucking table. Like, what are you talking about? The nigga probably used his legs and was like, yeah, let me kick this bitch through.
act against it. It's as simple as this. They don't have frickin' laser guns. It's gonna take some time to bust through something. I mean, this thing even did it while it was missing 2 fingers. Another thing, people tend to be like, well, how in the world did that thing find them? Remember, the crop circles were used for navigation. Obviously, they lived really close to Ray Reddy because he drove right to his house. More than likely, that thing headed to the nearest crop circle trying to get back to his race, wasn't able to, and went to the nearest house. Complaint number 2, the water. This is the biggest one. Water. Why would aliens come to a planet composed of roughly 70% water? There's water in the air. What if it rained? I have a large amount of theories about this. For one, it's possible that these creatures had never encountered water before in their entire lifespan. I mean, imagine that we discover a faraway inhabited planet. It's entirely plausible to assume that there would be unknown elements on the surface that could possibly be toxic to us.
This dude is literally saying everything that I said, and I'm like, yo, thank you. Save that.
Perhaps something that our technology isn't able to discover or warn us about. But remember what the guy on the radio said? They didn't come here for our planet. They came here for us. It's entirely possible that these aliens have absolutely zero interest in Earth. They only want to harvest us. Why? Does it matter? What else did we learn in that radio scene? That they retreated so fast they left their wounded behind. This shows the creature's desperation. This shows they more than likely had no idea what they were walking into and are possibly a race in dire need of survival, looking for some last resort.
And he just hit the nail on the fucking coffin, because I didn't even think about that. Hence why they're so fucking like dire. Like, look at their heads. Look at their bones. Like, they look like their species is dying out.
Remember the Brazilian video? The camouflaged creature cowering in the bushes alone? My guess is that thing is terrified. It's completely separated from the group. Perhaps he's watched his friends all die as they were exposed to the atmosphere for an extended period of time. My point is, this entire movie is told from the perspective of one family. The information that the audience gets is as limited as what they get. I'm sure if this was a film that was directed like Independence Day, which in its own right is a really fun movie, showing countries all over the world, the suspense would have instantly ended when they show a place that happens to be raining. Now yes, Ray Reddy's character said it seemed like they were avoiding water, but remember this, you can't make a crop circle in water, which is what they were using as a navigation system. All of this is subjective, which is the whole point. It's about the terror and confusion of one family trying to deal with this situation, which is why this film is all the more affecting and relatable. Lastly, how long were the aliens actually on Earth?
Facts.
Okay, so the movie starts out with the family discovering the crop circle. Then all the crap starts to go down. From that scene to when the aliens leave the planet at night, only 3 days pass. I think people tend to miss this. In the course of 3 days, the aliens arrive on Earth and likely send out a few scouts, like the one we saw on the roof. Then more are sent in a desperate attempt to salvage anything they can. Then they get the hell out of there as fast as possible, even leaving their wounded behind. This is why I'm always surprised at the absurd amount of complaints involving water. It's very obvious that this race of creatures is immensely desperate and possibly even scared, scrounging for whatever they can. What makes this movie scary to me is that it focused on one family and their plight throughout this situation. Since we know as little as they know, it's terrifying. Everything I just said.
We just hit 118 off of stream, 118 subs. Thank y'all so fucking much. No buying, no fake engagements, dog, legit shit. Thank y'all so much.
That really isn't the point of this film, however. The movie isn't about aliens or invasion. It's about faith.
It's about faith.
Losing it and regaining it.
Yep.
It's about
it's not an alien movie, and I always tell people that it's not an alien movie. It's a movie about faith. And I feel like Mel Gibson did that shit wonders, man. He did that wonders. from him taking down all, like, you didn't even, nobody even peeped that. Now at the end of the movie, he has his photos up with his wife, with him, the kids, Meryl's games, and then he put his cross back up. You can tell how much it took a toll on him, because, and then look right here, he even has the bathroom rugs and everything, like, just folded up and everything. He has his, this is his fucking pastor outfit just right here. Never noticed that.
Family figuring out how to work again, and I find that extremely moving.
And that's what leads me to my last thing at the end, when they pan from the family to the window. A broken family now repaired.
And since water is a universal symbol of holiness and purification, it makes sense that
And it makes sense. Thank you. I was waiting for him to get there. Because think about it. This is a movie of faith, sort of like a church, like sort of like a God movie in some way. So why not water, being the most thing for purification, be something that would harm them? It makes so much sense. Yeah, of course, yeah, but
night would choose that as the thing that washes the evil away. Signs is the reason I'm talking to you guys about movies today. I owe the film a lot of thanks. Thanks so much, guys, for watching this review. I look forward to doing more analyzed reviews in the future. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like Signs, I hope you like it a little bit more now. And if there were some things you were maybe confused about, I hope this maybe cleared it up for you. And maybe, just maybe, if you were annoyed by the water thing, you're not as annoyed by it now. Because trust me, I understand, it's a little weird, it's a little different, but the movie really isn't about that. Also, let me know in the comments below other films you would like me to analyze in this fashion. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.
That was a fucking banger of a good one. Fucking banger of a good one, man. I love that fucking movie so much. Go check it out. It's on HBO Max, I'm gonna say. You can watch it at 123 Movies, or you can buy it. I'm gonna link the description to that in link below. Excuse me, Chris Stuckman, you have earned that, my boy. And we're gonna leave you a live comment. There we go. But yes, terrifying fucking movie. But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for this one. Be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. This one was 57 minutes. Holy shit, the longest reaction yet. I'll try to cut it down. But yeah, see y'all in the next one.